Okay then, so if you take a look at this swing now, again, very good setup from where you're positioned there, okay? That's all good. And the backswing now and the takeaway looking really nice. Getting a nice sort of width with the swing in terms of the arms. Club the top of the backswing now setting really nicely. Now, the problem we had on the way down, as we said, the lower half was kind of stalling out. You can almost see your hips there kind of almost slightly sort of thrusting up towards the golf ball. Your back now kind of rounding off, losing a bit of your posture there, losing your sort of angles. And with that body kind of stalling, the club now is going to flip. Now, if we actually look at this shot, when you make contact with a golf ball, it is quite a toey connection. So that's going to cause the club face to open, which will actually counteract your kind of flips. I mean, if you look at the shot when it goes through, you're actually at a really decent golf shot heading towards the flag there onto target. The problem is you have to rely on almost a miss hit to try and get that club, to get the club face back on the ball square. And if we look here sort of post-in, but as you're going through now, body kind of almost like stalling here now and stopping, and the club face having hit a toey strike, yet your toe of the golf club here now, your club face is putting quite a lot down to the ground. So the hands are flipped over. Now, if you try and play golf just to not flip it, what will happen is now you just get a weak old block way out to the right, and be no good to anyone. So this is the practice move we were making here. Now, this is obviously a shorter swing, but trying to really sort of turn the torso through as much as you can. And you can see here now when you finish the swing how the arms are more together. The club face now is pointing more into this direction rather than pointing down to the ground. If we sort of just move through a few frames on the left hand, one other difference in your arm structure, that left elbow sort of chicken winging, pulling through, and that's just your way of trying to kind of hang onto the golf club for dear life to stop flipping it over. So I think for me, the feeling is that the hips work more on the way back. We did discuss in the session that you felt the hips didn't really want to move on the way back in case they got too stuck. But I think personally, if you actually engage in your body and get the body moving a bit more, once the body works on the way back, it can then fire a bit more on the way through. So allow your hips and your torso to rotate on the way back, so they start to get engaged on the way through, and then we can get a bit more hip movement. Good strike of the ball in this case on this one, and we can then rotate through now, keeping the arms and the body in a bit more of a solid structure. Just get a bit more consistency with that strike. Now, once you get good at this swing, as we said, in terms of your practice, I would hit 5 or 10 of this type shot until you really feel comfortable with the strike, maybe trying to get some fadey ones. And then once you feel you've got that comfortable, just take a couple of full shots. You've got to practice the technique in the exaggerated form, as this movement here is on the right hand side. You've also got to practice your technique as your golf swing, as your proper golf swing you're going to try to make. So work on this movement here now in terms of practice, then try 3 or 4 shots as full swings with no real thought. Maybe just turn the hips on the way back. That might just start the hips moving and get that kind of triggered movement that we're looking for through impact. Ultimately, we don't want to be thinking too much over the golf ball, buddy. We want the swing to be as natural and free-flowing as possible. So work on that hip movement going back and then clearing it on the way through, kind of maintaining, keeping your posture a bit better, and hopefully with a bit of practice, we'll start getting that lower half working a little bit better and reduce the sort of issue of that flip and that golf ball going exit left and being a very destructive shot. So I hope that all makes sense. Any questions, obviously, buddy, give me a shout. Send some videos through to me on the range when you're practicing, and I will see you soon. Cheers, mate.